Heading into the season, there was a lot of rookies gathering a lot of hype, and rightfully so because they are very, very impressive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 impressive NHL rookies that really have stood out to me from watching hockey so far throughout the first week and a half. And disclaimer, Elias Pettersson is not in this video just because I specifically made him his own video yesterday. So if you want to go check that out, it's live on the channel right now. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. Starting the video off with Maxime Comtois of the Anaheim Ducks, drafted in the second round, 50th overall back in 2017. And he was a player who wasn't really seen in training camp to come in and take a roster spot right away, but I definitely think a huge reason why he did was because of there's so many injuries on this team, and he's been a huge part of why they've been winning even though they have those superstars injured. He's 19 years old, he's a left winger, and in 6 NHL games so far, he has 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points, and him and Jakob Silfverberg have actually developed some very, very good chemistry for the Anaheim Ducks throughout the span of the first week and a half. If you were to tell anyone that Maxime Comtois was outplaying guys like Troy Terry and Sam Steele heading into the year, they would have told you you're crazy, but Maxime Comtois has showed that he is here to stay, and I even think when those veterans get healthy, when guys come back like Corey Perry, I believe Ryan Kesler's already came back, Ryan Getzlaf, Patrick Eves, and all of those players, I think there still will be a roster spot for Maxime Comtois just because he's played so well that I don't think they're going to be able to send him back. He has stood out to me as one of their best players, especially in the game I watched against Detroit. So all in all, I've been very impressed with Comtois so far, and I think it has to be a very, very good sign for Ducks fans and the Ducks organization. Next up on the list is probably the biggest surprise for rookies of the season so far, and that's Max Lajoie of the Ottawa Senators, their 5th round pick, 133rd overall back in 2016. And I'll be honest, before this season, I didn't even know who this guy was. He's a 20-year-old defenseman, and in 5 games so far for the Senators, he has 3 goals and 3 assists for 6 points. And he's definitely been impressive and been a huge bright spot for a team that's looking like they might not be as bad as we thought they were going to be coming into the year. The Senators so far have been getting production from a lot of guys, and a lot of guys that they actually acquired in trades. Guys like Dylan DeMello are playing very well, Chris Tierney, and obviously Brady Tkachuk, who they drafted, has been playing amazing as well. But I think their biggest bright spot has to be Max Lajoie, a young defenseman who's really taking some of that pressure off of Thomas Chabot to be that #1 guy, and I think that is a huge thing that the Ottawa Senators fans have to look forward to, because this guy could become a top 4 defenseman, a very solid one at that. Obviously, I think this hot start he will cool down, but hopefully throughout the majority of the season he can just keep up the production, maybe even half of what he's been doing so far, and just be a solid top 4 defenseman, and I think that would be a win in the Ottawa Senators books, especially for a guy that they got in the 5th round. Next up on the list, this is no surprise, Andrei Svechnikov, a guy who when drafted 2nd overall in 2018 was seen as a guy to come in immediately and be an impact player, be a goal scorer for this team. He's 18 years old, he's a right winger, and in 6 games so far he has 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points, and he definitely has been a big part of why the Carolina Hurricanes got off to the hot start that they are on right now. Yes, they did just lose a game, but obviously with a young team like this, there's not going to be a perfect road. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, but Andrei Svechnikov definitely has looked like he was well worthy of that 2nd overall pick, and he's showing glimpses of being an amazing goal scorer in the NHL. If I had to predict what Andrei Svechnikov would finish the year with, I'm not really sure. I think he is capable of being a 60-point player, you know, a guy who scores 30 goals and gets 30 assists, and for the Carolina Hurricanes, that would be huge as they did trade Jeff Skinner. And I think that trade, moving Jeff Skinner, really put all the faith in Andrei Svechnikov to be the #1 goal scorer on this team, and he really is showing signs that he can do that, and for the Carolina Hurricanes organization, that has to be a huge plus, and I definitely think we've only seen a glimpse of what's to come from Svechnikov. Next up, we have the 2nd Ottawa Senator on the list, and that's Brady Tkachuk, drafted 4th overall in this previous NHL draft, and it was seen by a lot of people as a huge risk for him to make the jump to the NHL right away and not go back to college just because he was going to a team with literally no expectations and a team that could have really been a dumpster fire, and that could have been a hit on his progression. But in 3 games he has 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points, and he's showing everybody that he definitely did make the right decision to stay in the NHL, and he is most definitely an NHL ready player right now. With the injury early on in the season, Brady Tkachuk did miss the first couple of games, but he hasn't missed a beat as he did score 2 goals in his game against the Philadelphia Flyers, which made it that every Tkachuk, Keith Tkachuk, Matt Tkachuk, and Brady Tkachuk all got their first goals against the Philadelphia Flyers, which I thought was a pretty interesting stat. But nonetheless, Brady Tkachuk has been a huge bright spot for this Ottawa Senators team so far, like Max Lajoie. And like I said, this team might not be as bad as everyone thought, and they're probably not going to just openly tank because they don't have their first round draft pick, and Brady Tkachuk is showing that he was definitely worthy of being selected 4th overall when a lot of people thought they should have took a guy like a defenseman or a guy like Philip Zadina, but Brady Tkachuk is showing everybody that he was well worth that draft pick, and the Ottawa Senators are looking pretty smart now. And finally, the last rookie we're going to talk about in today's video is Henri Jokiharju of the Chicago Blackhawks, their first round pick, 29th overall back in 2017. And the 19-year-old defenseman has been very impressive so far this season and has been a huge part of why the Chicago Blackhawks have got off to this hot start, kind of unexpectedly. His stats so far, 5 games played, 0 goals so far, but 5 assists for 5 points, and he's been responsible defensively as well. And this is a team that a lot of people thought was going to get a lot worse, but with guys like Jonathan Toews looking like the 2010-2011 Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane playing well, Alex DeBrincat getting even better, and then obviously young defenseman like Henri Jokiharju has to be a huge bright spot for this team. And this is a team I really think they could compete for a playoff spot this year. I picked them to finish last in the division, but obviously I didn't think Jonathan Toews was going to play like this. I didn't think a guy like Jokiharju was going to come in and play like this. And yes, it is early on in the season, but this has to be something that Hawks fans and the Hawks organization loves to see. As you remember, they still do have Adam Boqvist as well, and if Jokiharju pans out and plays this well, and if Adam Boqvist can come in and be the player they drafted him to be, they could have a pretty scary young defense core in the near future, but all in all, a very good start for Jokiharju. So that is going to wrap up the video. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and like I said, remember, Elias Pettersson has his own video dedicated to him. That's why he was not in this video, so don't go getting mad over that. I know he's been very, very impressive so far, but make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section what are some other rookies that you've been really impressed by so far this NHL season. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.